Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest today is someone who's been on the site a time or two in the past. He's continuing an incredibly prolific streak of releasing just killer records. The new record is a Duets Collection and features people like Dino Jelusic, Dean Castronovo, Eric Martin, and many, many others. I've said before that for my money, he's the best there is. And this is a Misplaced Straws exclusive. I've just gotten word that he now claims Jason Bieler is dependent on his taxes. Please welcome my friend Jeff Scott Soto. Welcome, Jeff.
What's up, Jeff? One of my favorite interviews that I get to do with you every time we do them. So I even wonder if there's anything left because we cover the gamut usually.
Oh, trust me, I'm always digging something up. You know that.
I got you.
So the new record, Duets Collection Volume 1. Now, this is the second release in a year or so where you kind of look back and reimagine some of your old songs. You put out the revision record last year. Is this just, the pandemic break that's given you a chance to look back and explore things?
Well, yeah, and again, not again, we haven't discussed it yet. The idea behind it was exactly that. We were trying to not only stay sane, because obviously not being able to tour, not being able to leave the house, we needed something to just keep our focus and attention towards, and nothing's better than that, than music. It's for us as musicians, but it's also for others who are just as frustrated and cooped up. It gives them a chance to kind of escape when they listen to their favorite things. And I just wanted content on there in terms of not sitting around waiting. We didn't know how long it was going to be till we can get back out there again. And this was a conversation with Frontiers after I'd already done the revisions thing. That was more of like a pet project. That's why I didn't try to get it released with the label or anything. I just wanted to do that for myself and the diehard fans that I knew were following in my socials. Doing something like this has a little more impact around the world, doing the Duets album. And this is when I discussed with Frontiers, what can we do? It all started with the idea of maybe I should just do a covers album. And now I can throw a stone and I can uncover at least three albums worth of covers and tributes that I've already done of other people's material. Right. I said, I really don't want to do another one of those. I mean, then you have to battle. Do I do my own versions of them? Do I do them verbatim? I didn't want that pressure of doing yet more covers. And I thought maybe people would think, I'm not interested in this. I want to hear either new stuff or no stuff. And that's where I threw the idea, why don't I do a covers album of my past? But if we do them as duets with other singers, it gives it a new spin. We still can kind of record the songs verbatim without changing history or changing the original versions that so many people love and so used to. But by doing it with other singers, we show yet another side of where those songs would have been if those singers sung them in completion.
Well, and that's the cool thing, I think, about this record. And did any of the singers come in with sort of a different spin or just a different nuance to these songs that maybe you didn't even think of in all the years you've been singing them?
Yes and no, but they all pretty much did what I expected of them, because when I was choosing the singers, after the songs were chosen, I made my master list of singers and friends that I wanted to be on this record, and also that I personally love, that I respect, that are dear friends of mine, and as much as possible had a tie-in to Frontiers already. I think there's maybe 2 singers on the record that are not signed or tied into Frontiers Records on this record. So I wanted it to be something that everybody gains from. Singers like Renan and BJ and Illyrio, the 3 Brazilian guys, they don't have as big as names as Eric Martinson or Eric Martin or even Nathan James for that matter. So I knew that their appearance on this record would give other people a chance to hear them and say, I want to check this person out even further. And they would look into their solo albums or the albums they're doing with Frontiers. And the same went for the Johnny Joelis and the Dean Castronovos. Those guys also have tie-ins with Frontiers Records. And I wanted Frontiers to be able to capitalize on the fact that it's kind of a Frontiers umbrella project. And the rest I kind of had to fill in because certain voices only worked for certain songs. And even if they weren't part of the label, I still needed them on these songs based on how I envisioned this album sounding.
Well, it's funny because after the first time I listened to the record, the only guy I wasn't familiar with was Illyrio Neto from Shaman's Harvest. And after I heard that song with you, I went and grabbed his stuff to listen to it because his voice just blew me away. So
Right.
I'm living proof of exactly what you were trying to do right there.
Well, yeah, and I think that, again, it's a win-win for everybody
Mhm.
because I get to have who I want on the record. That's where I win. If it's a new artist or a new band, they get to actually get the extra attention and promo for that band and that singer, and it's a win for them. And then again, it's a win for Frontiers in the end because if we're promoting and pushing
Yeah.
mostly their acts, yeah, exactly. Everybody wins in the situation, and I couldn't be more pleased with the results.
And it's fun to listen to as well, to hear these voices on those songs. And Eric Martin, I'm Mysterious, I mean, God, he is so good. I just saw him over the summer and his voice is still pristine and he sounds
Yeah.
so great on that track.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and again, I basically went the route of, say, a casting director for a movie when they hire certain casting directors based on, okay, this is the role, read the role, and who do you see playing this part? And it's the same thing I did with the singers. I looked at the titles. I know the song so well, it was a no brainer. And oh, I absolutely hear Eric Martinson singing this. I absolutely hear Nathan singing that. And it was such an easy process to piece it all together.
And of course you have some of your TSO brothers with Nathan James and Dino and Russ Allen and Matt Slevin. I mean, it had to
Right.
be fun getting together with them and doing something, completely outside of the TSO world.
Absolutely. And again, I have other tie-ins with all these individuals. When you think about it, there's like maybe 2 or 3 degrees of separation with all these people. We don't have to go as far as the 6 degrees with any of them that are on this record. Because like you said, on the TSO end, I've got Nathan James, who I'm in TSO with, but Nathan and I have also done studio work together. I've already collaborated even on Inglorious stuff. And then if you want to go into the Dino Jalusic, I'm very instrumental in getting Dino kind of introduced to the world in terms of his own career, because in the beginning I only knew him as the TSO guy, and from there I was able to say, hey, the rest of the world, you got to listen to this guy. He's up and coming, and that guy's just blowing up left, right, and center. So yeah, there's a personal tying connection. Russell Allen with the whole Adrenaline Mob thing, Dave Z, Russell with Mike Portnoy, Adrenaline Mob, and now TSO. Again, the connections are just staggering on this record.
Yeah, and we mentioned TSO. And last year, you guys did the virtual show, and I got to say, I thought that was great because on the East Coast here, we never get to see you, and seeing you and Russ together just was, every fan's dream. But I mean, you guys start your rehearsals soon for the tour. I mean, you excited to get back on the road this winter?
Oh God, I hope nothing happens that we have to pull it again this year. It's everyone is so anticipating it. We're following all the protocol. We're making sure that everything's going to be as safe as possible and up to snuff. They're making sure that they're not going to make any false or wrong moves that would actually pull the tour. But you just never know. And I just hope that everybody they cooperate, and everyone from the band, the crew, to the fans coming to the shows. If everyone cooperates and does what's necessary, we can make this a successful return this year, and I look so forward to it.
Yeah, and you've actually had a couple of shows in the past week or so with Jason Bieler around the East Coast here. How was it just kind of dipping your toe in the water and doing some shows and seeing, were the crowds there? Are people kind of staying away because they're still a little nervous about COVID? Was it good just kind of getting your feet back under you?
I got to be honest, even the most careful ones, even the ones that were the most paranoid or petrified from getting the virus or whatever, even they're much more loose and much more relaxed with the whole thing, because especially those who are vaccinated. I mean, the whole idea, without getting political, getting in the middle of all of this, the idea is everybody needs to get vaccinated because we all need to get COVID. We all need to have this herd immunity. This whole craziness of, oh, I got the vaccine and I still got COVID. I knew this would happen. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But what's not supposed to happen is that we end up in a hospital on a ventilator or die from it. We're supposed to get it like a flu, get past it, build the antibodies, and move on with life. So even the most diehard, hardcore ones that were paranoid and worried about it, even they're way more relaxed now. And as I've seen for the shows that I've been doing with Jason, we're going to Florida this weekend. That's going to be the true test,
Yeah.
because I know that they're a little more relaxed over there about the overall thing. But and I'm prepared. I'm prepared knowing that there's the possibility I'm going to come home with it. But I'm not worried about it because yes, I'm vaccinated.
Yep.
But that's why I got the vaccination. I'm going to put it to the test now, and I'm hopefully going to be one of the many that have successfully gotten through it.
Mhm.
And that's what's supposed to happen. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and again, you had the small run of dates with Jason. You have TSO coming up, and then in the spring, you guys have Sons of Apollo getting back together for your South American tour there. So, I mean, just hopefully all these dates can actually happen, and we can start getting back to normal and seeing you guys up on stage again.
Well, the best news so far, I've only had one show cancel on me this year. I went out and did a few shows in Bulgaria and in Ukraine. I was
Yep.
supposed to go straight to Kosovo from there, and that date got pulled literally as I was in Ukraine. Things were worsening, and they decided to shut down outdoor gatherings. So
Mhm.
that's the only one, and God willing, I'll be able to do them all. The rest that we have booked for the rest of the year.
And kind of switching gears a little bit, when we talked last year, when your solo record came out, it was just after Eddie Van Halen passed. Now we get the news David Lee Roth is announcing his retirement. And I know
Yeah.
what a Van Halen fan you are. Any thoughts on Dave and him hanging it up?
You know what? I'm absolutely positive it has nothing to do with the fact that he doesn't feel like he can deliver anymore, that
Mhm.
he can sing the way people expect him to sing. I'm fearing that it's something else that we don't know.
Yeah.
But again, that's his privacy, that's his decision on what we know and how much we know. And I'm just hoping, if it's that it's nothing serious, that hopefully by retiring and just spending more time of finding the quality time for himself, because again, David's also been one of those guys that never stopped, and he continued on his own path, his solo career, whether you followed it or not, he never stopped. He continued
Mhm.
doing music and other ventures and things that he's been doing. So if he wants to slow down, if he wants to pull away from it, that's his prerogative, and I respect it fully, and I absolutely support it. And I just hope it's nothing that we have to worry about losing yet another pioneer, another hero of ours.
Yeah, that's for sure. Got a little nervous when I saw some of the statements in an interview he did, but as you said, hopefully
Yeah,
it's just the man has earned his rest. That's for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, and so the Duets Collection is coming out on October 8th. Earlier this year, you had just the amazing Wet record, which is definitely one of my 2 or 3 top records of the year. And I
Thank
just
you for
spoke
that.
with Eric Martinson, about a week or so ago, and we were talking about that record and just the reaction to it. I mean, for you, how does it feel just to see the overwhelmingly positive reaction that record got and is still getting through the course of the year?
Well, that's the best thing about Wet. I mean, the only expectations that we deliver really good music, really good songs. And Eric has done our productions. He's pretty much the overseer of everything from the, basically, as we say, from soup to nuts.
Mhm.
Um, Even songs that he's only partially writing on or part of the creation of, he puts 1000% attention to, and his skills in the studio have just been so massive through the years. We're just watching him grow as a great engineer, as a great producer, all of the above, and continuing to be a great songwriter. I'm so proud to be a part of his arsenal of work and his own personal body of work. We started this thing with no pretense. It was just one of these projects that Serafino threw at us. Said, let's see if anybody be interested in hearing what the creation of 3 different bands, 3 different songwriters would come about. And we love the outcome. We still love what we're doing with these, and that's why we continue doing them. As far as touring, that's it's another animal. It's another one. It requires time and priorities and all that stuff. So if we can't tour, at least we can continue making great music.
It's funny because when I asked Eric about it, the first thing he said to me is the only criteria Wet has is that it's a great song, which is exactly what you just said. So to hear
Yeah,
you
and
guys on that exact same page.
it's not even an answer I've ever heard him say or that he's heard me say. So it just goes to show that we're locked in, we're tuned into
Yeah.
that ideal without having to say, hey, if somebody asks, we make sure we both answer this.
Right. So, I mean, you have the Duets Collection out October 8th. The Wet record was out earlier this year. Sons of Apollo, you guys had the record out last year that was just amazing, and you still got some touring to go with that. Anything on the horizon for a Soto band record, or another original solo, or even a Duets Collection Volume 2? Has that been thought of yet?
Well, at the moment, there's the only thing that's on the pipeline. It literally, as soon as I'm done with my slew of interviews today, I have to go over and proof all the vocals and all the ideas for the brand new JSS album. Basically, I guess it would be coined or promoted as my 20-year anniversary with Frontiers album. I'm literally wrapping that up with Alessandro again, producing and co-writing with me, and I think we have to turn in the record literally by the end of the month. Wow. So a brand new JSS album is almost at the mixing stages right now. As I said, I need to go over some of the vocals and make sure everything's there, things that I want to change, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that new we haven't discussed anything else. There's no Sons of Apollo in the pipeline. There's no other bands or things that I've got in the works at the moment. My focus right now is this duets thing that I'm promoting and finishing up the new JSS album and getting ready to do a lot of shows next year.
Awesome. And one other thing too that I just thought of when you mentioned the great Alessandro Del Vecchio, the record you guys put together for BJ and Spectra was amazing. I talked to BJ. We did an interview when that came out. That was a great record.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. That's been a work in progress for me for a long time as far as BJ was concerned. I've been trying to get him under the Frontiers umbrella for the longest time because his voice is the perfect vehicle for them.
Yeah.
The kind of stuff he sings and the way he sings, it couldn't be more tailor-made for the label. The only problem was in the past, they just weren't convinced on the material. So I went as far as I knew they loved what Alessandro brings to the table for them. And of course proof is in the pudding. 20 years with the label, they absolutely like what I do. And so I went to Ale and I said, hey man, let's write a couple songs. I'm going to put BJ's voice on this. And I want to try one last ditch effort to see if I can get him on Frontiers. Those two songs, they said, finally, this is where we want to go. The only criteria we ask is that you and Alessandro produce and co-write the entire record. And it was originally supposed to be a solo album for BJ. Along the way, it became a band album, which I'm so pleased with the outcome. I'm so happy for him and the guys. And I really hope this is the beginning of something fruitful for them.
Yeah, and it's also a continuation. You and Alessandro, when we talked last year and you guys did your solo record, I think that was the first time you had worked together. And just to see the progression that you guys have, I can't wait to hear what else the two of you have coming down the pipeline.
Well, the next one coming down the pipeline is one of my best friends, August Zadra, who plays for Dennis DeYoung. Yep. He's just completed, and I literally saw the proofs of the album cover yesterday, also on Frontiers Records, because I got him and another group called Waiting for Monday signed. But I always thought August needed to have his own record where he's singing lead and playing guitars solo, not as a solo artist, but just he's doing all of the above. And he's such a great player and a great singer. And so, yeah, the same thing, because of the Waiting for Monday thing, I was able to convince Frontiers to give him his own deal. And Alessandro and he pretty much did the most of the actual songs and creation of them. But I got to dabble in the end. I did all the backing vocals with those guys, and I got to help complete some things that needed, some lyrics to melody ideas.
Cool. Can't wait to hear that. I've been a fan of just playing.
Yeah, that'll be under the moniker of Zadra. That's it. It won't be August Zadra. It'll just be under Zadra. He went the route that I did with Soto. He just used his last name, and that's going to be the name of the band project, whatever you want to call it, based on. And it always comes down to this, based on people liking and wanting to see it and hear it.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Like I say, he's a fantastic player. So I'm glad to see him getting his own thing. But we've been spending some time here with the always amazing Jeff Scott Soto. The record is called the Duets Collection Volume 1. It is out everywhere October 8th. And Jeff, again, thank you for spending some time and another great record. And you always got a place. Yep.
Let me cut you off. I just realized when you were talking about the duets, that was part of the last question you asked me. What's the deal on Volume 2, Volume 7? Bottom line is, there was more of a play on words. It was kind of like when you remember the Mel Brooks movie, History of the World Part
Part
2
two.
or Part
Yeah.
1 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, well, I never saw Part 1, and people went crazy looking for Part 1. There never was one. So it was more of a moniker to kind of say, this is, I should have actually said Volume 3. It would have been funnier. But it's more kind of planting the seed that, guys, if you really like this, I would love to do more of them. Lord knows I have the catalog to do more of them. But more importantly, I have so many ideas on who else I would rather bring on to something like one of the future ones. I would even go as far as to maybe one of the volumes would be all female singers as opposed to
that'd be great.
only male singers, and just expanding. And then this album was mainly a labor of love with my friends. And maybe I would reach out to others like the Sammy Hagars or the Paul Stanleys of the world and be able to do duets with them that have nothing to do with the whole Frontiers angle. But this is my idea. I would love to keep expanding on them and doing covers of my career. It's so much fun with other people.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, it is always a pleasure, my friend. I can't wait to catch you on the road sometime soon, hopefully. And we will talk again soon. I have no doubt about that.
That's going to happen.
You got it, my brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Jeff. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.